In this video, we will discuss solving mod equations. Now that we understand mods, we can further our studies by looking at equations that involve mods. We're going to start small, so let's solve 2x plus 1 is equivalent to 0 mod 3. If we were performing algebra, we would solve this by subtracting 1 from both sides. So like we'd have 2x is negative 1, and then we would divide by 2 and we get x equals negative 1/2. But in mods, this doesn't make any sense. With mods, we want the remainder from dividing by 3, so our answer needs to be 0, 1, or 2. We don't want to have negative answers, and we definitely do not want to have fractions. So we have to have a different strategy for how to solve mod equations. The easiest way to solve mod equations is to make a chart. So the chart will always be composed of 3 columns. The first one will be values of x. The second one will be whichever expression we're dealing with. And the last one will involve using the mod. So in this one, because we're looking at mod 3, we want to start with the numbers that exist in mod 3. So the possible remainders I have with 3 are 0, 1, and 2. Anytime I'm doing this, so as we continue in this video and in this section, what we want to say is we will always go to n minus 1. So if my mod is n, I will stop at n minus 1 when I do my chart. So with 3, I'm stopping at 3 minus 1, which is 2, so I have 0, 1, 2. Okay. Once we've decided what our x values are allowed to be, we want to put those x values into our expression that we're trying to evaluate. So for us, we have 2x plus 1. So you can see in the chart that I took my value of x, 0, and multiplied it by 2 and add 1, so I got 1. I do the same thing with 1. 2 times 1 plus 1 gives me 3, and then 2 times 2 plus 1 gives me 5. So I take my values of x, I put them into 2x plus 1. Now I'm ready to go to the third column, which says let's simplify those answers in mod 3. So I'm starting with 1. 1 mod 3 is 1. Because I have a positive number less than 3, I don't have to do anything with it. I got to leave the 1 alone. 3 mod 3 is 0. So if I divide 3 by 3, it goes in evenly, and I have nothing left over, so that's where I got my 0 from. And finally, 5 mod 3 is equal to 2. So I can see 3 goes into 5 one time, I have 2 left over. So again, remember we're thinking about remainders. So now we're ready to say, okay, what's the answer to the problem? Well, here is our answer. It's here at the 0. Our original problem was 2x plus 1 is equivalent to 0 mod 3. So the answer is 1. So we use the far right of the chart to find where did we get what we wanted. We wanted 0. And then I go back over to the left, which was the x column, and say, what do I have as my answer? Okay. So the best way to do this is just keep practicing. The more times we do it, the more it's going to click in for you. So we're going to do this again. This time I have x plus 3 is equal to 2 mod 5, and I do go back and forth from equal to equivalent. Same thing really for us. So in our chart, we once again have 3 columns. We have x plus 3, and then we have x plus 3 mod 5. So thinking about mod 5, I think, well, what can my numbers be? I'm always going to start at 0, and then I'm going to stop at 1 less than the mod. So my mod is 5, 1 less is 4. So I have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 this time as my x values. My expression is x plus 3, so I just want to take all of my x values and add 3. So I have 0 plus 3 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay. Now to the last column, this time I'm talking about mod 5. So remember, when I have a positive number that's less than the mod, I just leave it alone. So 3 mod 5 is 3, 4 mod 5 is 4, positive and less than the mod. Now I got to 5. 5 mod 5 is 0, no remainder. When I do 6 mod 5, I have 1, and then 7 mod 5 is 2. All right, I go back to what was the question. The question says, when is it equal to 2? And here's 2 right here. So this says, I get 2 when my value of x is 4. Right? So it's always important to not say 2 is the answer. It's what was the value of x, so my x is 4. All right. So let's try this again. This time I have x minus 4 is equal to 1 mod 7. I just want to give you lots of different times that you see this so that we can see what happens in different scenarios. All right, so if we start by looking at 7, and I think 1 less than 7 is 6. So in my chart, I'm going to go from 0 all the way to 6. So you can see my x values. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This time I'm subtracting 4, and I did this so that we could go with what happens with negative numbers. All right, so I have 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 1 minus 4, negative 3. 2 minus 4, negative 2. 3 minus 4, negative 1. 4 minus 4 is 0. 5 minus 4 is 1. And then 6 minus 4 is 2. All right, so we did our x's. We subtracted the 4. Now we're ready to talk about the mods. Now, in the last couple cases, we had, if it was less than the mod, we could leave it alone. But again, that's only when it's a positive value. If it's a negative, you're going to have to do something. These values are small enough that there's something I can do. I can just add 7. I'm adding 7 because 7 is the mod, right? So if you don't remember what to do with negative numbers, go back to our previous videos that discuss negatives. But for now, I can tell you we're just going to add 7. So negative 4 plus 7 is 3. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. Negative 1 plus 7 is 6. 0. Finally, we got out of those negatives. So 0 is 0, 1 is 1, and 2 is 2. All right. We go back to what was the question? The question is, when do I find 1? Well, here's my 1, and I look over to the left, and it says 5. So my x should be 5 this time. All right. So there it is, just again on the screen to say the value. The x value of 5 gives us the answer to the equation, so that's what I want. All right, so now that we've done it a couple times, I really want you to stop and give this a try. See if you can do these two. The first one is 3x plus 1 is 2 mod 4, and the second one is 2x minus 3 is 1 mod 5. Definitely stop the video. This should take you a little bit. You can't do these in your head. Give it a try, then when you're done, come back, unpause me, and let's see how you did. All right, so here I did side by side the two things that we talked about. So the first one, mod 4, says I have answers of 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those are my possible values of x. And you can see in the middle column that I put those values into 3x plus 1. And that gave me 1, 4, 7, and 10. And then I had to go mod 4. So 1 mod 4 is 1. 4 mod 4 is 0, no remainder. The remainder of taking 7 mod 4 would be 3, and then 10 mod 4 is 2. I did actually want a 2, so this 2, I have to go back and say, what's the corresponding x value? It was 3. All right, so let's pop over here to part B, where it says 2x minus 3 is equal to 1 mod 5. Okay, so B in mod 5 says I need to go up to 4 in my values of x. So you can see I did 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once I have those, I'm going to do 2x minus 3. So I had negative 3, negative 1, positive 1, positive 3, positive 5. So those are my 2x minus 3 values. Once I did that, I need to say that mod 5. Remember we said we can't have negatives. So I did negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. Now I'm into positive values. 1 is less than 5, so I just leave it alone. 3 is less than 5, I leave it alone. And then 5 mod 5 is 0. Once again, I have to go back and say, what was my question? My question is, what happens, how do I get 1? And the answer is I plug in a value of 2. So my x answer is 2 that time. And there it is on the screen, just in case you want to see it printed. All right. So here's 2 more. I feel like you can't practice enough. So let's try again with these two. I have 4x plus 3 is 5 mod 6, and then 2x minus 4 is 1 mod 4. As always, when we do a U-try, I want you to stop the video and actually try it, and when you're done, come back and check your answers along with me. All right, so here are our charts. With mod 6, I went 0 through 5. And then I plugged it in. So I have 3, 7, 11, 15, 19, and 23. So I'm plugging those x values into the expression 4x plus 3. And then I have to look at, okay, what is that mod 6? So 3 mod 6 is 3. 7 mod 6 is 1. 11 mod 6 is 5. 15 mod 6 is 3. 19 mod 6 is 1, and 23 mod 6 is 5. This is interesting. I really like it, and I like that I had you guys work on it first to say, I want a 5, and I see multiple 5s. That's where I got to look a little pin on there. I like to write on stuff. I see a 5 here, And I also see a 5 here. So I have duplicate answers. That's absolutely fine. No one said that it had to be unique. You're allowed to have more than one answer. So this one says I have 2 answers. One of the answers is 2. I don't write really well with this, but we'll do it. And the other answer is 5. So no one said there's uniqueness. Definitely you're allowed to have more than one. So this case I did. The second one, which I think is also interesting, is 2x minus 4 is equal to 1 mod 4. So I have a 0, 1, 2, and 3 because we're in mod 4, and we plug those in and we get negative 4, negative 2, 0, and 2. Like always, I've got to figure those out and simplify them. So negative 4 mod 4, I add negative 4 to 4 and I get 0. Negative 2, I'm going to add 4 to get 2. 0 is it's not negative, it's not positive, it's just 0. So 0 is 0, and then 2 is 2. When you're looking, you're like, what did I want? I wanted a 1, and look, I got 0, 2, 0, 2, which means there is no answer. That's absolutely okay. So you can see down here I wrote there's no solution. It's important that we talk about that can happen. So we've had occasions where there's one solution. We just had an occasion where there was 2 solutions. And in this one, we had an answer where there was no solution. So I just want to make sure we go over all the possibilities of things that can happen when you're solving mod equations.